Good morning, viewers, and welcome to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. As we continue to give God thanks for life, I am Julian Skeet.
And I am Adana Kumbi. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. What a privilege it is to be in the land of the living, and we give God thanks for the very fact that we are alive. Julian, is it Thursday? Yes, it's Thursday. Counting the days, you know, as the year started off, we started on Tuesday, so I'm trying to figure out my days, right?
Yes.
So it is Thursday, the 4th of January, 2024. And something is happening today.
Indeed, Tuesday, and you know, that photograph there today becomes a very symbolic kind of day in the nation, and in particular for Tobago.
That's right.
Today we have the funeral service taking place for the first Chief Secretary, Hotoy Charles, who has really given distinguished service.
That's right.
You know, over the years to Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago, and really represented us in an excellent way out there. You know, and as I say to persons, that struggle and those efforts that he made didn't come easy by any chance at all.
That's right.
So there would obviously be the controversy that you know, would have surrounded from time to time, but it's a gentle reminder to us. Ultimately, it's really the life we live on a day-to-day basis. Some of the things that we appreciate most in our family circles, in our homes, and so on, are those things that indeed we put that extra effort into. And for the first Chief Secretary, it would appear to me that in most, if not many instances, if not all, that kind of passion and drive for him was very specific to all things Tobago.
That's right.
And really today's you know, quite a significant and focused moment in that regard, to the extent that the Chief Secretary and the Tobago House of Assembly, in recognition of his stellar contribution, would have announced that the all Tobago House of Assembly offices are closed in order to facilitate and to allow for as many persons as possible to be able to attend, and schools today in Tobago. A really symbolic and historic time here on the island.
And I think not just to attend, I think it is like a great honor. And I think it's very deserving. So I want to commend the Chief Secretary for taking that decision, you know, to show that level of respect and that level of honor. And also for those, especially our children in school, who might not have known, especially the younger ones, because he was, you know, a time before them, to have some measure of knowledge, to get some type of information about him, because why is there no school today? Except for instance, my son who is in standard 3, why is there no school today? So you'd have that conversation, so you introduce that topic to them as well. So I want to say commendation to the Chief Secretary for, you know, that initiative to ensure that outside of no work, no school, there's a conversation that has been had for the younger generation, those that did not grow up with him, to have the opportunity to have that discourse as well. So commendations as well for that.
Excellent indeed. And I also want to take the opportunity to say commendations to the minority leader and those belonging to the administration prior to the current, for not turning any of these matters into petty politics.
That's right.
It's good. It's really good and healthy when you can see that there is that joint position. I mean, they didn't put a position together, but the fact is there is that common thread of respect.
That's right.
For the legacy and the contribution of our first Chief Secretary. So I also want to pause for a moment. Some may, you know, you may overlook it, but to really thank Minority Leader Kelvon Morris, and by extension all belonging to the former administration, for not going down any petty road. Because I mean, you know, you could find anything to turn into a political back and forth, but for not going in that direction, and for really all the feedback I have been seeing thus far speaks directly to the man. Even if some are saying we may not have always agreed, we may not have been on the same political side, but it is someone that you can respect as having made a significant contribution to Tobago. So kudos to Chief Secretary and his team, and Minority Leader and his team as well out there. Folks, we're heading straight on over to news in 90 seconds.
Thank you, Julian and Adana. Here is your news in 90 seconds for Thursday, 4th January 2024, brought to you by B-Mobile. It's the Christmas season with B-Mobile. Tobago schools and THA offices will remain closed today to facilitate persons attending the memorial service for the island's first Chief Secretary, Hotoy Charles, who passed away on December 31st. The service will be held at the Shore Park Cultural Complex with a public viewing at the body from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Additionally, there will be traffic restrictions in Shore Park from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., extending from the junction at Scarborough Secondary School to Shore Park Food Hub. A procession by members of the Protective Services will precede the service with a live broadcast on Tobago Updates television Facebook page. The coffin carrying the body of the late former Prime Minister Basdio Pandey arrived in Trinidad and Tobago last evening. Members of the Trinidad and Tobago Defence Force draped a national flag over the coffin before it was placed in the hearse. Omar Pandey, Basdio Pandey's wife, and his daughter Michaela Pandey were present on the tarmac, accompanied by Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, Senator Dr. Amy Brown. Pandey had traveled to the U.S. for medical treatment in mid-December but died there on Monday. Tobago recorded 14 homicides in 2023 and the first for 2024 on January 1st. THA Chief Secretary Farley Augustine, speaking at a media briefing yesterday, responded to the crime situation, stating that he met with ACP Collis Hazel to discuss crime prevention strategies. While details will be publicized later, Augustine noted that he will meet with the Tobago public to further discuss preventative measures. Augustine continued that THA will focus on channeling resources towards social cohesion and positive youth engagement. And that concludes your news in 90 seconds, brought to you by B-Mobile. It's a Christmas season with B-Mobile.
Yes, viewers, our news coming to us there. The highlights, updates, or it's safe to say Tobago updates coming to you with all the information and news. Thank you very much there, Biana. At this point, viewers, we're heading straight on into our birthday shoutouts. Birthday shoutouts here on Tobago Updates. We get started this morning with Dr. Paul Crooks. Yes, one of my classmates there out of Bishops. Want to wish you the very best and indeed a happy birthday going out to you, Dr. Paul Crooks, this morning.
And next we have Natasha James Bedlow. It is your birthday today, and we want to wish you a very, very happy birthday, and we pray God's blessings upon your life as you celebrate another year in this land of the living. And on screen we have, I hope I pronounced this correctly, Yunke. Is that the correct pronunciation? Murray, it is your birthday today. I hope I said it correctly. If I haven't, please forgive me, but happy birthday to you. We want to wish you a very, very happy birthday. We pray God's blessings upon your life and that you enjoy all the love that comes with celebrating a birthday. Next up is Kylan John. Kylan John is celebrating a birthday today, and we want to wish you a very, very happy birthday, young man. We pray that God continues to guide your steps and that you walk in a way that is worthy of celebration. As we celebrate you today, we say happy, happy, happy birthday to you.
And next on screen we have Peter C. Lewis. Sending shout outs going out to Peter C. Lewis. Want to wish you the very best, sending birthday blessings going out there to you. Certainly continuing to make your contribution on the media platform. One of the very early partners making things happen and connecting here with Tobago Updates, seeing that potential. So certainly want to say shout outs this morning and birthday blessings going out to Peter C. Lewis. Yes, and we just very quickly want to pull up that public notice as a gentle reminder in case you missed it, which is very unlikely. It doesn't matter where you are in Tobago, you certainly know of the passing of Mr. Hotoy Charles, and the funeral service takes place today and will be held at Shore Park, and that's from 11 a.m. today. However, based on the information, there will be viewing and so on that takes place from 9 a.m. The public viewing, and certainly we will also be doing the broadcast here on Tobago Update, so you can certainly look out for it as we continue to recognize the stellar contribution of Mr. Hotoy Charles. And you know, Adana, I wanted to mention, I was tuned in last night. Well, I usually see the news after the fact. That's a good thing about online.
That's right.
Whatever hour it is in the night, I can go back and look at our newscasts. And I really want to commend Candice Jackson on that story. You know, the stick man, as some
That's
funny,
right. That's right.
refer to it. I remember being much younger then, with this whole grand concept, you know, of being able to use that ringbang monument up in Singer Hill. And I am really hopeful that we will see this turn into one of those historic tourist sites. And I say it quite simply because I remember just a few years ago when I had the opportunity to be in Paris and doing a tour. And interesting enough, on that bus tour, on top of the bus and so on, one of the areas they pointed out as one of their sites was a building. And all I could remember the guide saying at this time is that this building attracted significant controversy at the time when it was built for the millions of dollars that were spent. And then Paris saying, this is a site.
One at home.
I say we got one at home.
That's right.
So folks, no matter what the history is behind it, there is, you know, and that's why when I saw the focus and the highlight on it, I said outdoor, I said out in the bush, that's Candice Jackson, our very own Action Jackson. But I was very happy to see the focus there, because I feel like we have an opportunity, because we can speak to that very significant moment, that very significant attempt on the part of Hotoy Charles, because that's one of the things he's synonymous for. He would have ventured out there in a lot of areas, whether it be financial assistance and sponsorship, and successful in getting that started in Tobago, leading the way in Trinidad and Tobago, whether it's road infrastructure, etc. So it's only likely that there will be a thing or two that he was not successful with, but that visionary kind of leadership was very instrumental to us, and I feel like that's an automatic opportunity there.
I think
for us to create a story, put out the park benches, get out the white picket
and it
fence.
can be so interesting and engaging, you know.
We create that area so that naturally now we go to Fort King George, we go to the Ringbang Monument, we go to the I Love Tobago sign. We have a tour that captures these areas right there in Scarborough. You know what it is to be able to point it out when you're going around by the Shore Park complex, and then you take them up to the site and you look down now and say that's the Shore Park complex down there. So folks, I'm really hopeful that we will use this as an opportunity to be able to make more of this site, and that challenge is out there to OCS and tourism and all the relevant entities that seek to create and develop and highlight these sites. Put a sign up there, let's capture his history, let's speak to our history. Let's speak to our history, even if it was controversy. Let's tell the story of controversy, but the big decision was taken by Hotoy Charles at the time, and that's part of leadership. We will strive to take many decisions. You'll not be successful with all. Right? But more importantly, it is that willingness to go above and beyond, because if he was fearful, we know that a lot of other things may never have started. And you know, certainly, and almost everyone I hear speak about him, you know, in terms of those who worked with him prior, even from as early as my uncle's days working in the assembly, Uncle Kenneth Jones out there, they'd always speak significantly about the fact that he was not afraid. He was not afraid to take those unpopular decisions and to step out there. In fact, which is one of the reasons how we gained the name. That's right. So we're diving on into our rundown for this morning.
Right. So viewers, this morning we're having conversations with Taramati Rampasad, and she's a Labour Inspector 2 for the Ministry of Labour, and we're talking about the national minimum wage increase breakdown. We're having that conversation this morning, very fitting conversation. Then we're also speaking with Max James, former Assemblyman of Tobago House of Assembly, remembering the Honorable Hotoy Charles. And we wrap our interviews this morning with Shireen Sebro, the owner and designer of Shireen's tie-dye for Carnival 2024. So that's how our conversation is going to be this morning. So we're asking that you stay tuned with us as we bring you this information and we have these conversations with our guests in studio. And of course, before we go to a break, we invite you, because this is your opportunity, to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
JK Tech, we bring technology to your doorstep. From cutting-edge laptops to reliable printers, we've got it all. Nationwide delivery and a new website for easy online ordering. JK Tech is your one-stop shop for your electronics and computer needs. Carrying top brands such as Acer, Samsung, HP, and much more. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at JKTechTT or visit jktechtt.com. Quality tech is just a click away. JK Tech. Evaluate your shopping experience, your tech, your way. Call or WhatsApp 383-2651. Shop smart, shop JK Tech.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your nice can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. Never ever worry if sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry if times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you. Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
The Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development has relocated its Crown Point office to Glen Road in Scarborough to better serve you, our clients. Our main office is located at the corner of Glen Road and Glen Road Branch Number 1, the building formerly occupied by Costat. Our grant and electrical inspectorate services can be accessed at Number 2 Montessori Drive in Glen Road, Building 1 and 2.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show. We're just at about 7:19 a.m. this morning as we continue here on this a very significant morning here for us in Tobago, Trinidad and Tobago. Tuesday, the 4th of January, we're celebrating the life of our first Chief Secretary that has passed on, Hotoy Charles, really making that significant contribution to the island. And to get the conversation going with us this morning, we have on set Max James, a former assemblyman of the Tobago House of Assembly, as we remember the Honorable Hotoy Charles. Good morning to you and welcome.
Morning, Julian, and morning to all viewers.
All right. So as we get the conversation started, I feel like there is so much that we can speak to, but we'll start from the very simple point. What would you describe as those initial interactions, getting to know Mr. Charles before your advent into the officially into the politics of Tobago?
Well, I mean, as a young man coming up in Tobago, he was a household name, right? He was, if you could be described as one of the pioneers of the non-PNM movement, the thrust and fight and struggle for autonomy and so on. We had at that time, when he was operating under Act number 37 of 1980, I would have come into the assembly at about age 37 as a young man too, 1996, December 1996 to January 29th, 2001. So that was my tenure, and it was a man that knew what he wanted for Tobago. I think he understood the times and the seasons better than anyone else, and he put us on a course that would have defined a new ethos, a new realm of thinking that would have jettisoned us to doing great things, imagine great things, and trying to do the best things we can in our various portfolios for the better Tobago. Unfortunately, he might have died, perhaps, arguably, on the cusp of where he could have seen the fruition of his struggle for autonomy. I would have wished that he might have been alive today to see that, but unfortunately, God knows best. So
would you say, and let me dive into that at the same time, would you say now is probably then even more, we have even more of an emphasis and a need to press forward under the current leadership? And when I speak current leadership, I speak both the collective of, the majority through Chief Secretary and minority through Kelvon Morris, to really make that kind of demand on central government to be able to, they will all now speak to legacy, and we will see that happening today in all the media interviews and the respects being paid. But is it not an apt time to remind all those who will be visiting from central government to pay their respects, that where we really want to see the respect being paid is in the parliament in supporting the decisions for Tobago? Your thoughts?
Well, most definitely. Because as you would know, that the bill that was last proposed was, in my view, very much on the not what we want. Put it in that raw stage. It's definitely not what Tobago wants. And therein lies the struggle. You have on the one hand, PNM wanted to maintain power, and Tobago wants to be free. We have tremendous natural resources and human resources. The population is stagnant. You can't really do anything much for Tobago with a few $1 billion, a few $100 million for capital expenditure. And therefore, Hotoy thought at the time when we went down to Woodford Square to challenge Mr. Pandey frontally, but we paid a political price for that because Pandey didn't like that. And of course, Pandey would have he had been pushed back politically. He only served one term, I think, at the time. Can't remember the exact history, but it didn't go well for him, for Pandey at the time. And of course, we suffered financially here in Tobago. I think our first budget we got for capital expenses was about $80-something million, and it didn't improve much by that. So you see, it's a perennial struggle for Tobago's development, Tobago's autonomy. And I hope that this new administration will in fact be more robust, come what may, in terms of getting that done for Tobago. Whether in fact it is an appropriate time, every time for Tobago is an appropriate time. But we're hoping that strategically going forward, this administration will find the strategic will be more strategic rather in getting the job done. I think that yes, I would agree that both parties here should work together. I'm always of the view that the PNM here should go along with whatever is best for Tobago, because Orville London tried it. He was there for 16 years. He didn't succeed, and now we're going on 6 years, 7 years hence after Orville, and we are not seeing the light of day in respect of Tobago's autonomy. I think the last 20 years, thereabout, 22 years, thereabout, might have been very depressing for Hotoy. So I think every Tobagonian here in Tobago, in the diaspora, in Trinidad, as the case may be, I think to use this as a platform, as a new springboard. I don't even want to comment on whether it should be a new springboard, but I think we should redouble or triple our efforts, not merely as a result of his death, because we shouldn't use that to say, well, now is the appropriate time. Every time is appropriate, I think, in my view, but I think Tobago's development is what is at stake. We need money for education, we need money for infrastructure, we need money for everything that is Tobago. We want what is ours, and I think that's what Hotoy was trying to tell us, trying to tell the world, trying to tell Tobago more specifically, that Tobago needs to be free, and his mantra is that if Tobago is in a better state, Trinidad also will be in a better state. And I think that we need to look at that wider picture, which is the more important picture, so that Tobago's development could be realized. If the young children who are coming up who never knew me or never knew him, we need to perhaps teach that little history to the school children.
Yes.
So to ensure that they know what happened in the past and what is in front of them, so that they have hope for the future. I think that's Hotoy's push. I think that's what he had in his mind. It should be in all our minds, and I think that we can use it as an advantage for the future now, but not that it is necessarily the thing that we say, well, look, we will in fact be opportunistic, but we can use it. But I don't want it to be opportunistic, in the sense that let us take advantage of this. There's nothing that to take advantage of, because it should have been an ongoing process until we realize Tobago's full development. If you
Until
see
we get to that point. I think one of our viewers has captured it very well. Just as you said, every time is an appropriate time, but it is more glaring now that Mr. Charles has passed on. And the best way to honor Mr. Charles is by giving Tobago what it deserves in terms of autonomy.
Who is going to give Tobago? Because this is the
well,
Parliament.
ultimately, it comes back to the the Parliament. But we don't want to dive too far into that this morning. But you touched on an area in terms of the funding that was available in that time. And I want you to share, it would appear that with limited funding, Mr. Charles and his administration in that time, or First Chief Secretary, was able to make some kinds of inroads with infrastructure development and roads and so on. Tell us a little bit about those advancements. It appeared as if, so much, and that's one of the things that he's definitely known for, his administration, cutting roads in areas where people didn't even think you would need roads at all for today.
Well, simply put, he had the foresight. Dollar for dollar, things are different now than it was at that time. I remember over in London coming into the house, and he took a piece of bitumen, and he's just playing politics, of course. And he said, "Mr. Presiding Officer, look at this. The roads are not well done, and the Chief Secretary is building roads that go to nowhere. What it is going on?" And he made, we just laughed at Orville, and, it was a seminal moment there because we didn't expect him to bring that huge piece of bitumen to make the point about Hotoy building roads that lead to nowhere. But of course, he was opening up the interior of Tobago. And I remember one of the roads he built was somewhere in Lucivale in Speyside, the Lekoto Road in Mason Hall from Mason Hall to Lekoto, I think. Right? The Easterfield Road from Mason Hall back into Monk St. George. Those are some of the larger projects that he would have, in fact, up to this date. And we ain't talking politics this morning, but the infrastructure, the curbs and slippers, I think they call them, from Easterfield Road that goes right up to Hills Road, he started putting down the curbs and slippers. And we were severely criticized. We severely criticized that road wasn't important. But the thing about it is that those interior roads are very much important because there are large swaths of unoccupied territory and property in those areas that will improve our access and also improve the property, the value of those properties. And I think Orville and Mr. Mackenzie at the time and Ms. McGinnis at the time perhaps didn't understand the vision as we understood it. Of course, you're going to have people seeing things differently, but I think where you're beginning to open up the interior of your country can't be more important. It can't be more important than that in terms of us ensuring that we have the kind of a development that is necessary for Tobago.
And it's certainly, we certainly see the benefit of it for today when someone is to the point where that is definitely highlighted as an exemplary factor in terms of the legacy and so on. One of the other areas I wanted to get your perspective on as well, and again you touched on it with your reference to dollar for dollar, but if my information is correct, even before as a country getting to the point of dollar for dollar, it was Mr. Charles and his administration at that time here in Tobago that saw the need to look at establishing a unit that spoke to financial assistance, as it was then called, now advanced to what is the Department of Advanced Training and Advisory Services and Scholarships to help our Tobagonians to really develop that skill set. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's interesting because even the present some of the senior doctors over here, like Dr. Duke, the President, Secretary of Health, they all benefited from that financial assistance. Numerous individuals would have benefited from that. What was worrying to us was that the St. George's University in Grenada, people felt it was just St. George's, and it was, put it in local parlance, it was cried down, they beat it down, it's unaccredited. It is an American university that happened to be in St. George's in Grenada. It has now risen to the recognition that it deserved. Sometimes you have to be careful as politicians to say, cry down something, beat up on something when it really has significant value and is a good thing. So, we hope that the politics will change in that direction. But significant numbers of persons benefited from the financial assistance program, as it's called, for our university students and so forth. The thing about it is that I always say, before you can educate properly, we really had to have that manpower audit going, because you'll be educating by VAPs. So we need to know in all the areas of employment, all the areas of our human resources for the development of Tobago, we do really need to know who we have, how many we have in all the various disciplines. It's one thing, we didn't get around to financing properly. The former Chief Secretary, Mr. London, tried to do it. It wasn't embedded properly in the psyche of the administration then. We're hoping now that to properly formulate a good education policy, we're hoping that a manpower audit could be undertaken. People don't see the value for human resources, but as the core for development, at the core for our educational system. Because without good education and the right type of education and the right numbers and the right areas in terms of how we're going to focus on our development, we need to have that information. People tend to talk about only medicine and engineering and roads infrastructure and health and all of that. But who are the persons that, how would you know how much you have in all the different areas and disciplines to manage those areas? So we have to have that knowledge in terms of what we have now, which is the supply side of our manpower, of our human resources, and we want to know on the demand side, what are the areas that we should focus on as we build our educational stock and our human resource stock in Tobago.
All right, so we're just out of time. Your final message that you would want to put out there as we remember the life of Mr. Hotoy Charles.
I think he was a good example of is a good example to follow in terms of this struggle for autonomy. And I don't like to talk full autonomy, because autonomy is autonomy. Once you talk autonomy, it's full autonomy. I think we need more fighters like Hotoy. I think we are losing the human resource in the strategic areas of having fighters like him of his ilk. So we need more people of the ilk of Hotoy, and I dare say the people who he had with him. We need to have more politicians that understand the times and the seasons, and to have that unreserved qualities that where we could finally, as our Chief Secretary likes to say, making Tobago the best little island on the planet. I think it's a good mantra, and I think that all Tobagonians, whether PNM, whether TPP, PDP, and whichever other entity might emerge, all of us, I think the history should be taught in our primary schools and our secondary schools, and even from amongst our university graduates and university students. The history of Tobago should be rewritten fast, and until we realize what we have to realize here in Tobago, and which is the autonomy, and have really fully developed Tobago with a strong economy where our people can come back home, and Tobago would be their choice of country in the future.
All
yes.
right. Thank you very much there, folks, as we continue to remember the life of Hotoy Charles, the late Hotoy Charles, our first Chief Secretary here in Tobago. We've been chatting with Max James, the former Assemblyman in the Tobago House of Assembly, and we say thank you very much indeed. And the public notice, just as a gentle reminder to all, the funeral service takes place today, and it will be held at the Shore Park Complex from 11 a.m. today Public viewing is from 9 a.m. and we will also be carrying the broadcast live. And I saw a message come in. Yes, folks, it's open to all of Tobago that's present, all of Tobago. You are encouraged to go out and to attend, to head on down to Shore Park for the funeral service of Hotoy Charles. And we heard the public notice earlier that the Tobago House of Assembly offices have been closed, as well as schools today, giving that opportunity to pay your respects and to head on down to the service and the funeral service that is scheduled to take place. So in an effort to pay the respects with the passing of the Honorable First Chief Secretary Hotoy Charles, certainly the Tobago House of Assembly there, this current administration, and we're also told that we can potentially look out for some major announcements happening today by the current Chief Secretary, ways and means to continue to pay our respects and to celebrate the life of our first Chief Secretary, Hotoy Charles. Viewers, at this point, we thank you so much for the continued love and support for the Tobago Updates morning show. Up next, we're going to be chatting with Labour Inspector 2 of the Ministry of Labour, Taramati Rampasad, as we speak national minimum wage increase and speak a bit about the breakdown to give a better understanding. So at this point, we remind you that this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
Rotisserie, mouth-watering fries, salads, combos, and specials galore. Feeling for something to eat? Come and see. Our rotisserie is seasoned to the T. Kicking chicken, masala, and jerk roast. Crispy fries made from scratch. Who do you know can't beat that? Or salads freshly cut and packed. When you taste it, you'll be wanting to come back. So come check us out on number 2 Robinson Street, Uptown Scarborough, Tobago. We open on Saturday nights from 7:30 to 11:30 p.m. Monday to Thursday, we're open from 10 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. and on Friday, 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Contact us at 772-7443 and all social media handles at The Rotisserie Factory.
Inner Health, number 13B Portmore, Scarborough, Tobago, with over 25 years experience offering services in and not limited to microscopic blood analysis, reflexology, and the sale of a wide range of organic herbal products used to supplement thyroid, lymphatic, heart, kidney, and brain health, and the male and female reproductive systems. Come and chat with us. Remember, your health is your wealth.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. I'm Julian Skeet, and we're just at about 7:41 a.m. This morning, and we're heading into our next interview where we'll be speaking with Taramati Rampasad, Labour Inspector 2 of the Ministry of Labour, and she should be joining us online at this point. Good morning to you and welcome.
Good morning, and thank you for having me on your program this morning.
I hope I got the pronunciation of that name right.
You got it correct.
Excellent, excellent. All right, so as we start this morning, we're chatting in relation to minimum wage. Most certainly, we heard the announcements being made by the Minister of Finance and the current government as it relates to the introduction, and it takes effect from the 1st of January 2024. So let's start with some of the very basics in terms of reminding us of this new minimum wage, and what does it really mean in the context of Trinidad and Tobago when we identify the terminology minimum wage?
Okay, so the minimum wage, as you know, was in effect from the 1st of January 2024. And what this really equates to, it's $20.50 per hour, and it equates to $164 for an 8-hour workday, $820 for a 40-hour work week, and $3,533.33 for a monthly paid worker.
All right. Tell us a little bit some of the persons that this will apply to, because you hear some people saying, far and wide, yes, it's minimum wage, but the increase don't really affect me. Let's get a better sense of some of the actual workers scenarios or examples in terms of that benefit from the introduction, for the increase rather of this minimum wage.
Well, in almost all spheres in the country, all spheres of work, there are minimum wage workers. You will find minimum wage workers in the groceries, and the hardwares, and the pharmacies, in the retail sector. Most stores in the retail sector, the catering industry, people who work in the hotels, people who work in restaurants, people who work in the markets. Across the sphere, there are minimum wage workers. Anyone who earns $20.50, which is the new minimum wage, is the law now. They have to be paid no less than $20.50 per hour.
We're talking about, of course, minimum wage. Does this apply? You said anybody who is working for at least, they must work for at least, $20.50. So this includes migrants, temporary workers. What are the types of categories of people that you would find primarily earning the minimum wage in this scenario?
Yes, it applies to, the law does not discriminate. It applies to migrant workers, it applies to the nationals, non-nationals, documented workers, undocumented workers. The law does not discriminate, it applies to all minimum wage workers.
And what are the entitlements of a minimum wage worker?
Well, first and foremost, we pay the minimum wage, which is $20.50 per hour. But I just want to add here that even though the minimum wage is $20.50 per hour, it is applicable to workers who earn up to $30.75 an hour. It's 1.5 times the minimum wage workers it's applicable to.
All right. I want you to tell us a little bit in relation to, I want to deal with those who say, nobody ever find we if we don't pay that. And you may have those few, let me say few, in Trinidad and Tobago, because I'm hoping your statistics says that almost everybody complies with what is required. What are the penalties to be applied, and how it is the monitoring mechanism and so on, because I want to assume that's one of the responsibilities that falls within the Ministry of Labor. Tell us a little bit about that mechanism so as to ensure far and wide, and for places where you may not have an officer showing up to check, tell us what are the opportunities that are available for someone to report. So if I know that I have a cousin somewhere down in Kwaito working and they're not benefiting from the minimum wage, how do I respond?
Well, the Labor Inspectorate Unit of the Ministry of Labor is the enforcement arm, and we are responsible. We are charged with that responsibility of enforcing the Minimum Wage Act and the orders, right? If a worker is not being paid the minimum wage, we service walk-in clients at our head office, which is located at 50 to 54 Duke Street, Port of Spain. And our telephone number there is 299-0300, option 3. Also, we have walk-in clients can go to our San Fernando office, which is located at 40 to 42 St. James Street, Wassa Building in San Fernando. And the number there is 285-5133, option 4. Also, if you cannot come, if you cannot visit us, you can send us an email if you want any clarification. You can send us an email at labor.inspector@gov.tt.
All right. Tell us about your connection as well with I know there's a labor section also operating here within the Tobago House of Assembly for persons in Tobago who may want to make a similar report.
Okay, well, labor inspectors, we do not have labor inspectors in the THA. So what happens is that labor inspectors from Trinidad, they visit Tobago once a month, and they respond to any complaints that is reported. So they spend at least a week in Tobago, and they try as best to see if they can rectify any issues that workers may be having from time to time.
Right. In terms of the penalties, for instance, if we have employers who are refusing to, or who trying to, do it under the table or kind of get away from the system and the policies that have been implemented as it relates to minimum wage, what type of penalties can be expected for that type of an employer?
Well, all employers are required by law to keep records. And if they do not keep records, the penalty for not keeping records is $15,000. And if a worker is being paid under the minimum wage, the penalty for that as well is $15,000.
All right. And for workers who are looking on, listening to this interview and wondering, where could they find more information? What are some of the sources of information outside of interviews like these to be able to get those details to really ensure that they are covered and taken care of?
Well, we depend on programs like yours to sensitize the public on what is a worker's right. We also share information with employers because employers sometimes are not aware of the legislation. So we work with employers to achieve compliance. Workers can visit our head office at Port of Spain or our San Fernando office, or use the email to make complaints or to say, let's say, if they have any queries or anything they want to find out, they can use the email, or they can find information on the Ministry of Labor's website, which is www.labor.gov.tt.
All right. From where you sit, would you say with confidence that Trinidad and Tobago is compliant, and I see the smile on your face, is compliant as it relates to when we have changes like these in terms of increased minimum wage, or is there usually a battle to ensure that everyone complies? What would you say is the rate of success based on your experience in the ministry over the years? Because certainly this is not the first increase that we have seen it happen before in terms of overtime.
Well, we do have employers that do not sometimes pay the minimum wage. When a report is made, the inspector goes into the establishment. Some of the powers of the inspector is to enter premises, interview the employer as well as the worker, and inspect records. And we try to work with the employer to achieve compliance. Failing that, if they do not comply, the matters can be referred to the industrial court for determination.
All right. Again, we just want to get some information in terms of where we could find a worker, an employee who is, probably thinking that they are underpaid or they're not being paid the minimum wage. How do they access your services again? Please remind us of that. How do they contact you? How do they reach you? Where do they find you?
All right. We have statistics at the Ministry of Labor, and the most prevalent issue we have is payment of overtime. So if the employee brings a complaint to the Ministry of Labor, we investigate. And like I said before, you can visit our Port of Spain office, which is located at 50 to 54 Duke Street, Port of Spain, or San Fernando office, 40 to 42 St. James Street, San Fernando, Wassa Building. Or you can send the email to labor.inspector@gov.tt.
And in the Tobago instance, I know you said that the officer will come to Tobago. Is it that a request has to be put in for the officer to come to Tobago, or how often or how regular is that visit to Tobago?
No, we have a monthly schedule of inspectors visiting Tobago, and they visit the THA. The THA has a Department of Labor who would also have information on complaints that are reported. These complaints are passed on to the inspectors who schedule visits and investigate the complaints.
So is it like a standard period, the first week in the month, the second week, anything that we can communicate to the general public, or you'll give us that commitment to let us know the schedule?
It's sometimes the second week in every month, but that is subject to change and availability of flights and hotel accommodations and so on.
All right, certainly. Well, we look forward to that update so that we know definitely when it's happening. Just before we close this morning, for those people who may be saying they may be in the upper grouping and not necessarily benefit from the increase, just tell us very quickly in terms of the statistics, what numbers or percentage of the population of workers actually benefit from an increase like this in minimum wage?
Well, 190,000 people is going to benefit from this new minimum wage. So we are hoping that employers, I want to stress that employers should pay the $20.50 per hour, and they should also maintain records. The law requires you to keep records for 3 years to ensure compliance.
Is it safe to say that this is a minimum wage? And I probably want to put it out there so employers don't feel you can't go above. This is only the minimum.
That's right.
It is exactly what it is, a minimum wage. It doesn't mean to say you cannot pay someone more. You can pay workers more, but up to, we are enforcement officers and we enforce the minimum wage up to, there's a limit. The limit is $30.75 per hour.
All right. Thank you so much again. Any additional information very quickly that you would want to share in closing this morning?
I would like to encourage employers, again, as I said, to pay the minimum wage and also to keep that record. The record is what will determine whether they are in compliance or not. So I am asking employers to please keep the record and pay the minimum wage of $20.50 per hour.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much there again, Taramati Rampasad, Labor Inspector 2 of the Ministry of Labor, joining us here this morning to provide some insight and information as it relates to the new minimum wage that takes effect in Trinidad and Tobago. That took effect from January 1st. And I just want to remind you, contact information for those persons following up with the Ministry of Labor. You have 299-0300, that's option 3. That's in Port of Spain, San Fernando, 285-5133, option 4. You can visit the main offices located there on Duke Street, Port of Spain, 3rd floor. That's Wassa Building, St. James Street. You can also contact them via email, labor.inspector@gov.tt. That's labor.inspector@gov.tt. And if you're right here in Tobago also wanting to do visits, be reminded that they are in Tobago at least 1 week in each month, usually the second week, subject to change at times, but you can feel free to call the ministry to confirm when they will be here, or even check in at the division, the Labor Department, to seek to confirm when they will be here. And all additional information is available via www.labor.gov.tt and the social media pages of the Ministry of Labor. Thank you very much again for joining us here on set this morning. As we continue to bring you the information, viewers, we want to remind you that this is your opportunity. In fact, as we prepare for our final interview this morning, we're going to be chatting with Shireen Sebro, owner, and I like to say Shireen Tie-Dye Sebro, owner and designer of Shireen's Tie-Dye. If you see her and you know her, she's in something tie-dye all the time. And when you think you see her in a normal outfit, she might even pull out a tie-dye rag to wipe the sweat from her face. Certainly continuing to recognize and to celebrate Tobago excellence going forward. We look forward to that upcoming interview. And at this point, to remind you viewers that this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Your destiny. The best way to predict it is to create it. Do you see yourself exploring exotic destinations or spending quality time with family? However you see yourself, create your own retirement destiny with Tata Life's Destiny Personal Savings Booster. Choose from one of 3 investment options with guaranteed minimum investment returns to secure a monthly retirement income for life, with the option to choose your retirement age. So what's your retirement destiny? Call 62-TATIL or visit tatil.co.tt to learn more today. Conditions apply. Tatil Life, a member of the Ansa Makal Group.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the morning show on Tobago Updates Television. I am Adana Kumbi, and we continue conversations this morning in studio with our next guest, and her name is Shireen Sebro, and she is the owner and designer of Shireen's Tie-Dye, and we're talking Tie-Dye City for Carnival 2024. I almost said 2023 there. I have to get used to the new year. We're in a new year, 2024. So good morning, Shireen, and welcome to our program.
Thank you, and Happy New Year to all the viewers.
That's right. So we're talking Tie-Dye City for Carnival 2024. What can we look forward to? What are your projections? What are your hopes? What is happening?
Well, this year for Tie-Dye City, we're doing it double. So we're going to have it in Tobago, and we're having it in Trinidad. In Trinidad, we're partnering with Eccles Village AC School and Friends, right? The theme is Welcome to Africa, and our sections will be Egyptians and River Nile. And the theme for Tobago is Egyptians by the Nile.
Right, so I am in my head space, I'm training with all types of ideas. I'm thinking about what will the display and the costumes and the colors and, the construction, what would it look like to depict this theme?
Well, I live in the anticipation.
That's
for
right.
Saturday. The launch is Saturday at 6 p.m. We'll be launching on Facebook, right? But, the colors will be blues and gold, silver, those kind of colors to represent the Nile and Egyptians and stuff.
And how does one participate if you wanted to be a part of the production?
Right. So, well, I have a team, both in Trinidad and Tobago, because I can't do everything myself.
That's right.
Right. And we currently have a place, Shireen's Tie-Dye is currently now located upstairs Race Plaza, right? For persons that don't know that, when you come around Unitrust Corner, next to Charles Watch Place.
I think if you're from Tobago, especially, you will know
some persons don't know it. You will see the Shireen's Tie-Dye sign downstairs. You're just coming up the stairs, upstairs Race Plaza, and they will be doing all productions and all registrations and stuff. Registrations begin on Saturday from 6 p.m. after the launch, right? You can contact us at 482-0412 to register. You can message us on our Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok pages, which is Shireen's Tie-Dye. And
and what kind of age groups we're looking at?
So I already have persons like babies, like one child is 8 months.
Wow.
To as old as they could be.
Right.
To 17, might not want 17 years, might want to play with kids, but as old as 17.
Right. And how is it looking in terms of the registration so far, or the interest in participating so far? Although your official registration is Saturday, but how is it looking in terms of people reaching out and being interested to participate?
Parents can't wait. They'll be like, oh God, Shireen, don't do me that, send me something now. I said, don't worry, Saturday right there, don't worry, just hold on.
Right. And I want to congratulate you for the collaboration, for the Trinidad aspect of it, spreading your wings, expanding and having that sort of collaboration to ensure that your brand is established, not only in Tobago, but that it exceeds the borders, and that hopefully you might be going even further than Trinidad with this brand, your tie-dye brand, which I must commend you on. So congratulations to you there. And of course, your launch, as you said, is Saturday. So tell us a little bit more about the launch that is taking place on Saturday. What can people expect?
Right. So people can expect we're only doing 2 sections this year, Egyptians and the Nile. Both sections have male and female, right? So they can expect that it's an all-inclusive kiddies mass band. You're going to get real vibes, vibrant colors, plenty things to eat and drink, so both the parents and the kids. So we're not leaving out the parents having fun on the road as well.
Right. And in terms of your the subscription for registration, how much does it cost to participate?
Right. So the sections varies from $650, being the cheapest, to $850.
Right. And what do we get with this?
Right. So you're going to get goodies. You're going to get the costumes, food and drinks. You know, we always have special things in the goodies, so we're not going to sell out anything now. You know, we're going to leave the anticipation for on the road for the kids to be excited.
Right. Sounds very exciting, of course. And I am so happy that your song always so bubbly and excited to produce something, and you're always so excited to teach, because I know sometimes you teach people as well the art of the tie-dye and stuff like that. And Julian was correct, guys. She is wearing something that is tie-dye. You might not be able to see it right now.
I could stand.
There we go. There we go. I tell you, in this studio, anything, you know, look forward to anything. But she's always wearing something to that demonstrates her brand. She's always clothed in her brand. As Julian said, it could be as small as a rag, you know, a t-shirt, a pin, a button. You might be surprised. You know, she's always wearing something that sort of speaks to her brand. And we just want to say congratulations to you in this, you know, moving forward, your advancements. And I remember being at an event with you, if you could recall, and I like to see the progression that you are making and the expansion that you are making and the connections that you are making to ensure that your brand is established not only in Trinidad, in Tobago, as I said, but also in Trinidad. And hopefully, you know, it expands our local borders as well.
Thank you. But I must add, in 2019, the first year we came out, we also collaborated in Trinidad. It was a success. We collaborated with Inflate the Fun, Party House, and we came first at the St. Anthony's Kids Small Band of the Year. We came second for San Fernando City Corporation, and we came fourth in the national one in town. And we had also won in Tobago that year.
So that's some history for you, just in case you're uncertain, just in case you're skeptical. This is an established brand that is going forward and forging ahead. Is there anything you want to share with our viewers in closing?
Right, so you can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Shireen's Tie-Dye. We can be contacted at 482-0412, and you can check us at our new location, Upstairs Race Plaza, that's in Scarborough, Tobago.
All right, so thank you very much, Shireen, the owner and designer of Shireen's Tie-Dye, talking about Tie-Dye City for Carnival 2024, with the launch being held this Saturday. Thank you so much. Okay, viewers, we are coming down to the end of the morning show, but our programming continues. We're going to head on over to Tobago Notes in a short, but stay with us. After Tobago Notes comes GMT with Candice Jackson. So we're asking you to continue to stay with us. And as we go out, we're asking you to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Welcome to Venebois. We are having our wine tasting this evening, and it's a chance for the students to really showcase the skills that they're learning here at the Institute and put them into practice. So this lovely ambience has been created by the students with the guidance of head chef Sonia Phillip and the rest of the team. They have been crafting a menu to pair with the wines. It is one of the series in our international cuisine course, and there are more events to come, culminating in our brunch, which is held early in December. So stay tuned. So we have a number of finger foods that we have on display from the two continents, Africa and Asia. There are a few more student dinners coming in the months of November and December. You can come and give us your support. Your support will be well appreciated. The students to taste our hands and taste what we have been learning to create.
And as you can see, it's a lovely evening, and we're actually looking forward to many more evenings like this. I'd like to see corporate Tobago get involved. I'd like to see industry stakeholders get involved and support these students as we invest in the future of tourism and hospitality on the island.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks a favor to wake up and hear my neighbor. 60,000 people strong.
Welcome to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates, your source for current affairs in Tobago, Trinidad, and the region, with the perfect conversations to complement your morning routine. I am Candice Jackson, and let's get started with the news in 90 seconds, brought to you by B-Mobile. All schools in Tobago and THA offices will remain closed today to facilitate persons attending the memorial service for the island's first Chief Secretary, Hotoy Charles, who passed away on December 31st. The service will be held at Shore Park Complex with a public viewing of the body at from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Additionally, there will be traffic restrictions in Shore Park from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., extending from the junction at Scarborough Secondary School to Shore Park Food Hub. A procession by members of the Protective Services will precede the service with a live broadcast on Tobago Updates. Up next, the coffin carrying the body of the late former Prime Minister Basdeo Panday arrived in Trinidad and Tobago last evening. Members of the Trinidad and Tobago Defence Force draped a national flag over the coffin before it was placed in a hearse. His wife Omar Panday and his daughter Michaela Panday were present on the tarmac, accompanied by the Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, Dr. Amory Brown. Panday had traveled to the U.S. for medical treatment in mid-December, but died there on Monday. And finally, with concerns about the current murder statistics in Tobago, THA Chief Secretary Fali Augustine, speaking at a media briefing yesterday, respondent stated that he met with ACP Collis Hazel to discuss the crime prevention strategies. While details will be publicized later, Augustine noted that he will meet with the Tobago public to further discuss preventative measures. Augustine added that the THA will focus on channeling resources towards social cohesion and positive youth engagement. And that was the news in 90 seconds, brought to you by B-Mobile. And viewers, well, as you should know by now, today is the day that we say goodbye to our first Chief Secretary, Mr. Hotoy Charles. And all week we've been having discussions about him, and we are just going to continue having those discussions about him, because he lived such a remarkable life, especially in service to this great island. And starting off the conversations with me this morning, because we've got a few guests on, but with starting us off, we have Mr. Brandon Gray, who is a friend and colleague of Mr. Charles, as we speak about him today. So special good morning and welcome to you, sir. How are you doing?
Well, welcome to you. Thank you very much for inviting me. And Happy New Year to you, your staff, and the Tobago and your viewing public. As a matter of fact, whenever I'm out of the country, Tobago Update is the station that I look at.
Certainly appreciate it.
I get up
and
early.
Many
I have
happy
to
returns to you as
that's
well.
right. I get up very early on mornings because we have time changes there, you know what I mean? And I'm happy that I'm here with you. Thanks.
All right. Now, I just want to get us started off. Now, you were somebody who, like I said, a friend and a colleague. You would have done some work with him, traveled to the Bahamas with him in 1968 and so on. Tell me about that time in your life.
Yes, we were all young people, traveling. I left here at a pretty young age, just left school. And there was this opportunity to go to the Bahamas to work for the government in the prison service. And you recall at that time, our income was, my income, I worked at Gordon Grant at that time, was $26 a week, and that was plenty of money at that time. And there was this opportunity to go to work in the Bahamas. I remember it was $2.40 our exchange rate was in those days. So there it is, they're offering you $50 per week, and we were earning $26 per week here. The police was just about $110 a month. So we were just about the same thing, kind of. So we saw that as an opportunity to go to the Bahamas to work for the government there. And he was one of the 5 Tobagonians selected out of the 35 Trinidad and Tobago citizens who went. So 5 of us from Tobago were selected, were successful in the selection process. That was a gentleman, Melville from the East, I think Delaford, Kenneth King from Lowlands, Tony Welch from Mason Hall, Brother Charles, Chief Secretary Charles, and I would want to put that in front, Chief Secretary Hotoy Charles, as they do in the United States, President Clinton. Even if you left office, I think we need to start that process, and myself. And so even there in the Bahamas, the same principle that he enunciated here in his political life, he did the same process there. As a matter of fact, there was a nickname, we call him Sledge.
Sledge. So we moved from sledge to heavy roller later on in life.
That's right. And I could give you he seemed to be fighting for those who do not have a voice. That's to me the way I could remember all his activity in my knowledge of him. He's fighting for the person. He's the voice for those who do not have a voice. And so what happened there was we got there, we were supposed to be given uniforms, full uniforms, hat, tunic, pants, and so on, and shoes and belt. And that dragged on for quite a while. We had to use our own clothes. And he was the one who advocated on behalf of all the members, all the persons who came from Trinidad. There were 30 from Barbados and 35 from Trinidad and Tobago. And so the 65 of us, and he is the one who advocated with the authorities to make sure that we got our uniform. And he did it in a way only he can do it. Very forceful, and that's why the name Sledge was given to him in the Bahamas. Even today, I just came back from the Bahamas on Monday, and one of the gentlemen who was the Trinidad and Tobago Association president in the Bahamas for quite some time. Every time I go there, I would go at his home and look him up, and anytime he comes to Trinidad and Tobago, he comes and look for me. And on Friday last, I went to his house to sit and have a drink or two and something to eat and again. And the first thing he asked me is, how is Sledge? And I indicated to him, well, I heard he's not doing too well, but what my last information is that he was improving. So we sat and we talked and we laughed about all the situations, about all the guys and so on. And on Sunday, when I got the news, I was still in the Bahamas, I called him to tell him what the situation was. So we had that engagement in the Bahamas with him, and as I said, he did not change that impression of me to him when I got back here. Yeah.
So what do you think inspired? Because you mentioned earlier that, he was somebody that was always fighting for those people that did not have a voice. What do you think inspired him to have that fight within him?
Well, I don't know. As he said, Hotoy, someone said that how he was born, was given the name Hotoy and so on. So I don't know. He just was that kind of person. He was just that kind of person. I mean, I knew him here too when I came back home to Trinidad and Tobago. I first was in Trinidad, so I didn't get contact with him. But when I got back to Tobago, I can't recall how, but I believe that as a footballer, I played with Sister Pam's brother Nal, who thought that, I don't know if he's thinking now, who thought at that time he was the best thing after Pele. And so I went at his home, and there I think I met Sister Pam, and she invited me to attend a meeting with Mr. Robinson, and that is where I started the whole process of, and so on. I met with him, and we sat down and we talked, and we laughed about all the things that he did in the Bahamas. He like a good shit talker. He like a good sit down. He has a soft side. Let's understand that.
And let's talk about that soft side.
Yes.
What are some of those memories from those early days as a young man in Bahamas that stood out to you in your memories about him?
Well, the idea is that he would sit down and he would talk about things that I can't talk about here. But he likes a good laughter, and he engages you seriously when he has to engage you serious, and he can engage you with laughter, and he had that kind of laughter that would make you laugh too. So he has that soft side. He has a side that not many people know about. Yeah. In quiet days, he will sit down, and there's only few people he will show that side to, I believe, of who he really is as a normal and regular person. And I had that impression of him. Yeah.
And then later on in life, now you said after you came back to Tobago, you started working along with him again in the politics and so on. What were those days like?
Well, again, I would say that's where I got to understand him as a true patriot of Tobago. Yeah, I got to understand his thinking. I then understand how I should think about the relationships that we have in our country, Trinidad and Tobago. I understood it. He's the one who brought that, besides Mr. Robinson, of course. When I listened to him the first time, I heard him speak about internal self-government. But the real architect of the whole concept, I think, Hotoy epitomizes that because of his deep belief that we as Tobagonians and as Tobago, we are not given the right, we're not given the right to operate ourselves and operate the way we ought to operate in this island. And he fought, I think, up to the end. I would say that he would have fought up to the end.
Yes.
To engage in that regard. And I think that this has afforded us some opportunity, I would think, whoever is the authorities now, to make this a pledge to pursue this with certain vigor, that we must now engage everyone, and not only the leaders that probably in the politics, but everyone, every Tobagonian, whether you're on this side, that side. It's not a matter of side here. This is Tobago. I think this is a necessary thing that we need to do. Everyone must be involved in this. As a matter of fact, as the chairman, I served as chairman of the Tobago News for close to 19 years. Yeah. And I think some of the documents, some of the documentation. As a matter of fact, we kept every issue of the Tobago News. It's in binders, and I think that can be served as a research tool for going back and seeing what really took place, how Tobago, where we moved, where we were, and the transition that we made. I think that is a very important factor. I don't know where the binders are. I think the only person I can relate to with that is Mr. Denzel White, who is right in this building somewhere. He may be able to give you an idea of where those binders are, because it's research material, and it should be lodged to me in the library
yes,
for research for the future. And that would have been my action had I been there still, and had it still been going. I resigned in 2015.
Yes, but I mean, after politics, after active politics, I should say, Mr. Hotoy Charles did not give up. He continued fighting. And what would you say, would you say how he changed, or how was he as a man, as even somebody, as a politician, after coming out of office and until his death? What would you describe that period of his life?
I would say that he was always a politician. He has never stopped being a politician. That's it. He has never stopped being that. Look at what he did to try to bring the island together. I can remember when Chief Secretary of London engaged in forming this team to look at Tobago, to make a bill to send to Trinidad. Some people thought that he should not have gone and joined that.
Yes.
A lot of people who were upset that he joined that exercise, but that's not what his thought was. His thought is Tobago. How can I influence what we really want here in Tobago? And so he joined it and worked with the team to produce something that is today a live document, sitting in Parliament without any activation, where they brought another document to Tobago sometime in 2021, I think it was, and that has no resemblance of what was the people's
original document that was sent down.
Yes. And he fought again there to say that is not what we want, and you could recall the fight.
Yes. Oh, I do. And one thing that's also interesting is that Mr. Charles was not a lawyer by profession.
That's right.
But he understood the law. He understood the legislation more than most people, I think. In fact, I personally learned quite a lot about our Constitution, the THA Act. I learned it all from him.
And he has it in his head.
And he has it in his head. As somebody who did not have that official training in law and so on, how did he become so intelligent?
Because he read a lot. He read it, and he kept all documents. As a matter of fact, I would think that the document that was drafted for the 1772, when Mr. Robinson and his team went to Trinidad to meet with Pandy and to meet with Mr. Manning. And Mr. Manning did not assume that. He said that he'll win alone, lose alone kind of thing. Yes. And the document that was drafted for that coming together with the UNC and the NAR Tobago, I think he would have had that document in his library. The amount of information that he would read, he read excessively and interpret things with a certain intelligence that I think that we don't know.
Yes, certainly. And I think the epitome of it was in 2017 when he noted that, when he noted that there was a problem with the elections and so on, and basically called all the parliament in Christmas.
That's right. Christmas time. Exactly. And had to change the EBC had to make some adjustments.
Yes.
So he called them out and said that is wrong.
Yes, that the election was illegal.
That's right. So you understand, you know, we look at life and we look at someone who came by and were born and we die. But the amount we have lost because of his death, it's phenomenal.
Certainly.
It's what you lose, how you lose, the things you lose when someone dies. I mean, you grow up, you put all the intelligence, everything in your mind, you learn everything. But at the end, what happened? What happened in the end? You carry all of that with you. You lost it. Tobago has lost a treasure.
And that's on that note is how we'll have to end our conversation here this morning, Mr. Brendan Gray. It's such a pleasure speaking with you and, you know, getting a little bit of those memories, especially of a younger Mr. Hotoy Charles.
Yes, I must say that I have to smile because there are things that I know that I can't speak here.
And maybe at a different platform, a different space, we can speak about some of those things.
Some of those things probably. But I would want to encourage the station to start looking at an event like you have your Monday forum or something like that, where you have someone go in and do the research and bring that information to the public. Someone can take that up and speak to that about all the parliamentary speeches, all the things that has happened in this house and so on. And let's get that information.
Yes. Definitely.
Thank you very much for
Thank you so much, Mr. Gray. And viewers, please don't go anywhere because we're not done yet. We've got a whole lot more coming up for you on GMT.
Tobago updates.
Hello guys, welcome. Come have a seat. Oh, this is so stylish and I love the fabric. Darlings, you must tell us where you got your new furnishings.
We got them locally at Standard. They've got new chic European furniture, crafted from high quality material.
Oh, Standard?
No, it's Standard, their brand new Hive collection.
Experience luxurious European furniture at a price you will love. The Hive collection, now exclusively available at Standard.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your nice car get damaged bad, I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. Never ever worry. If sickness catch you off guard, I tell them never ever worry. If times fall on you real hard, I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So
never worry about a thing. Tattle, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Yeah. Hey. Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning. As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks a favor to wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power, we are people in the sun. We are beaches, we are rivers, we are melanated ones. We special and there is no denying.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. Viewers, we are continuing our conversations this morning as we get ready, as us in Tobago get ready to say goodbye to our first Chief Secretary, Mr. Hotoy Charles. And continuing that conversation as we remember that life and remember the service that he gave to Tobago, we are being joined by two colleagues of his. And the first is Mr. Natalia Moore, who was a former senator in the parliament. And there is also Mr. Cecil Carruth, who is a former assemblyman, Secretary of Education and Agriculture, and a few other things. Yes, so both of whom worked very closely with Mr. Charles, had a lot of interactions with Mr. Charles, especially in the political arena. Now, special good morning and welcome to you both.
Good morning, Candice. Thank you for having us.
All right, so I'm going to start with Mr. Moore. Actually, I'll start with Mr. Moore first. You know, when you look back at Mr. Charles and the life that he lived, what stood out to you?
Well, the first thing I think, Mr. Charles was an action man. He was an action man, and he left Tobago, right? And I have no doubt in my mind that he did everything he could to enhance life and living in Tobago. That's the kind of person he was. I don't know if I must mention reservations. Perhaps he didn't do everything as he ought to have done it or to get the best results. But I believe he tried his best. Right? And I don't know if you could find anybody else who had the kind of devotion to Tobago. But if you do, it's quite well and in good company.
Certainly. And Mr. Carruth, you know, when you look back at Mr. Charles, what captures your attention?
What captures my attention was his absolute dedication to the issues he mastered to push Tobago's business forward. The governance of Tobago, the resources of Tobago. He did as much as he humanly could to do that.
You know, one of the things in the conversations that I've been having all week was Mr. Charles' ability to manage Tobago with very little resources. You were a part, Mr. Carruth, of that administration, and I'm guessing, Mr. Moore, I mean, you might be able to tell me just what it was like, you know, even in the different spheres, looking on at him, supporting him in private and so on, as to the work that he had been doing. What can you tell me about that time, about how he was able to manage Tobago and do it so well, do so much with so little?
Well, when you have a passion for something, it's like a powerful force that pushes you forward. In spite of what is likely to stop you from moving. He had that absolute belief in himself to the extent that I would ask sometime when he's talking, whether he is for real. I recall when Mr. Charles was in the assembly before we became chief secretary and all this type of thing. He used to come to Roxborough, up a hill where people lived, on a Sunday and a Saturday. At that time, I think he was in charge of works. And he will be building roads. He will have those trucks, the backhoe, men to come to work on a Saturday, on a Sunday, and on a public holiday, and Mr. Charles is in short pants. Mr. Mo, take over.
Yeah, you see, again, there are people who wanted the assembly to fail. I shouldn't say assembly then, but in Tobago they wanted us to fail. When Mr. Robinson put forward the idea of internal self-government, and we had the group working together, right away we had opposition, right? So they were determined to see us fail, and we were determined to succeed. And I could say, well, Mr. Charles epitomized that attitude. And as Mr. Carut said, we didn't have much fun there. In fact, let me tell you, in those days, no office, no organization, just elect the men and put them there. We had to find office and set about doing Tobago's business. So a lot of voluntary work was done, and I really picked Mr. Carut hinted on public holidays and weekends. There was Mr. Charles outside there with his group, building roads, repairing roads, and making terribly voluntary contribution to the people. So that is what he taught, that it was not all about money. We were starved for money, as we complain now. In those days, it was terrible.
And then, of course, as we're seeing on the screen right now, there's some images of the procession getting started from Belgrove's funeral home towards the Shore Park Cultural Complex. So, you know, throughout we'll be sneaking in while as we're continuing our conversation, and we'll be bringing to you some of those images of what's happening there. So, but yes, you know, I mean, and as you're speaking about that passion and that drive that Mr. Charles had, how did that inspire both of you to be better politicians and better servants of the people?
Well, that's a very good question. To tell you the truth, all of us had a special interest in the development of Tobago. But all of us did not go out in the same way to capture the needs of Tobago and to let the people in Tobago know these are the needs we have. It meant it meant hard work, very hard work. Each one of us as secretary worked very hard. Natty was not a secretary, but Natty was always there. Natty was, I calling him Natty, Mr. Mo.
No problem, man. Go ahead.
He was one of the passionate ones. We all shared the love for Tobago. It was boundless. Oh no, I have it. And I had it right through my school life. Because, I don't know why should I say this? I was always close to Mr. Robinson. He wasn't a loud fella. He wouldn't go in the rum shop and buy you drinks. You come home at him and he will entertain you. That's how he is. And he's always into the books. Always into something that will lift the image of Tobago. Do you know that Mr. Robinson, sorry to be talking about him now, but you can't leave him out.
Can't leave him out.
Mr. Robinson had a keen interest in developing that international court that deals with men who did crime as politicians. So we, in a sense, you got to give me a chance to give you this, knead it in. We, in a sense, develop that kind of feeling for what leadership is about. And Hotoy was the real image, I feel, in his mind. He thought about that image, and he will not leave a lesser image than Robinson would have left for Tobagonians who knew what had been going on.
It was almost as though Mr. Robinson took that fight on a national and international level, but Mr. Hotoy Charles made sure that he did the footwork here in Tobago.
Continue.
I'll tell you, the point is again, of course, we're talking about Hotoy and we are on Hotoy, so we highlight Hotoy. But the whole thing was a group effort.
Yeah.
Right? And some of the hardest workers and so on, perhaps you have met them, some of them have gone already.
Yes.
Off stage. But for example, in the case of Mr. Carut, and in my case, we were employed as teachers, and Hotoy was devoted wholly to the task of administration and work in the assembly. So you'll hear more about him, you'll see more about him, and so on. But a group of us, we need a whole session. If your organization could develop a kind of research section to get the history of Tobago, that'd be a good enterprise. That'd be a good thing you could do. You people who like to search and write, they are good thing.
It's certainly a passion of mine, but
yeah. Well, you could pursue it. You learn a lot about those days. It was a real struggle, and the point is, we took it as an honor to work. You see, we worked, and Mr. Charles was very, very serious about it. Serious about it. I mean, there's nobody perfect. He did what he could.
No, in the later years, of course, he did not give up on that self-governance drive. So, of course, it started with Mr. Robinson, of course, and before that with A.P.T. James and Mr. Biggart and so on. But, you know...
Dr. Norton.
And all those people, yes. But Mr. Charles did not give up on it.
No.
And he continued even after active politics. What do you think, what do you remember about even working along with him during those last few years as he continued that drive forward for self-governance for Tobago?
You see, the point is that if you love Tobago and you're working for Tobago and you don't have an opening in politics, you may find an opening somewhere else. And I think that was his case. He I think, predominantly thought that politics was an avenue, a quick avenue to realizing the goals he had for Tobago, right? But is that the matter of you in politics and politics in you? Is a matter also of whether you're a leader in politics, just a co-worker or a follower, right? And that's to his credit. When he recognized that perhaps he couldn't fit in because he wasn't placed in the position where he could go ahead in the leadership area, he worked where he could work. And then I thought he was a pretty good advisor. And let's say the present chief secretary has found out that, because at first, as he tells you, he was a little cautious about getting there, but he's discovering that the man has something that could be valuable to him and to the country. And so he's using, and the man was willing to work and give what he could for the country. And personally, I think he did a fairly good job at advising and keeping the spirit of the search for autonomy alive.
Yes.
That is a major contribution. Keeping it alive by what he could do when he could do it.
And Mr. Carut, I mean, what would you like to add about that that drive for self-governance even after coming out of active public
put it
politics?
this way, it is in him. And he couldn't stay back and see things go vi. He wanted to see things go a certain way. Probably you might think he has a domineering kind of way, but if you have a passion and you can fit in, you will fit in. Because he devoted his time to the politics and used to do his garden too, the politics and the development of Tobago. He was there when they were building or extending or renovating or remodeling the airport. He was there when they were remodeling, extending Deepwater Harbor. He was there when the ships broke down or weren't operating. I have to be careful. When they weren't operating. And you couldn't keep taking excuses from Trinidad because Tobago is suffering. You can't drive from Scarborough to Toco. You could drive from Miaro to Tumaca.
Or even if you like.
or one of those places, you can do that. But it's not the same.
It's not the same.
We had two ways, by sea or by air, and that must function. And you will hear that people are again passionate. You'll hear that people would say that they can't get food to eat. But who caused us not to get food to eat? After Flora, agriculture became, you're too young to know this, that's 63. Agriculture became dead in Tobago, dead in Tobago. And where you getting the food from? Trinidad, but from Trinidad, from St. Vincent to Trinidad. So maybe we should have imported some of these people in St. Vincent to set the example to our people. Our people need to know that hard work is not bad. Just enjoy it.
Yes. And I want to make sure we touch on this as well, especially from you, Mr. Caruth, who was part of the assembly when Mr. Charles went about, with the whole ring bang concept and so on, and wanted to promote Tobago because, in my conversations with him over the years, he's explained that it was not, it was about branding Tobago, putting event tourism out there on the market and so on. A concept that people didn't quite understand in 1999, and he took a lot of beating for it. When you look back at that, and we're seeing that they're clearing the site at the Ring Bang Monument, you could finally actually see it once more and so on. But when you look back at that time, what can you tell us about his vision for Tobago in that space?
It had to be a vision that had to come to reality. This is what it is. And that ring bang thing was organized through Eddie Grant.
Yes.
Because Eddie Grant was an international singer, performer, and so on. So you take in this Eddie Grant branding, well known in the English circles, in the American circle, and among promoters and stuff like that. That was a wonderful opportunity. But you see, those who did not understand the concept, and for different mileage, I don't want to use the correct word, different mileage, they make it look like an opportunistic, wild idea. But it was not a wild idea. You took it at the time when you should take it. That was the time when you're going to the millennium business. Right? So it was an opportune time to brand it. But you see, unfortunately, the whole of Tobago did not get
understand.
Didn't get it.
Yeah.
And I hope more and more, now that he's passed, more and more people will get on the bandwagon and get right in. It's too sad for us,
Yes. mean, and I'm so young enough. I mean, I remember that time as well. There was so much noise in Tobago. Everywhere you go, you heard the criticisms about this.
Thank you.
But there were some unique things in that, you know, there was supposed to be water, Tobago's own water branded with that same figure that we see on Signal Hill. There was supposed to be, T-shirts, caps. You know, Mr. Moore, when you look back at when that idea was presented, you know, what was going through your mind when you heard the vision that was being explained by Mr. Charles at that point in time?
No, I know it. I thought it was good, but as you said, I don't think the people's mind was prepared for that. I mentioned before when we were selling, I would say, the idea of internal settlement for Tobago. You see, we encountered the program and we solved the problem, or we took the line of education. I remember I feel good. I'm always in the background. I am not the person who pushed myself in front of somebody in the background. But I remember I went to every community center, every gathering in the island, and we sold the idea. We had to sell it because we had opposition. It's the same thing with Charles and that concept. Now we had a concept and he could perhaps see from the beginning to where he wanted it to go. But a lot of people didn't see that. Some thought it was unnecessary, thought it was a waste. They had so many thoughts about it, right? And that was the problem. I believe the people were not educated enough to understand what was going on, and we didn't have the time. We didn't have the time to give the people the vision as we had it. That was one of the setback. And of course, the constant, you know, you talk about the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back.
Yes.
And this build up over time of opposition and so on. The enemy was looking for the opportunity to break through. And that was one of the straws that gave them the opportunity to get the camel go. You know, and we are hoping that, I'm hoping the fellas are not too emotional about it. And with all the intention to revive and so on, they'll be very cautious about how they go about it so that it doesn't work ill for us. But something must be done, actually, to memorialize the activities and the vision of Charles. And somebody must catch it to carry it on.
And what do you think it should look like?
Well, to me, it's a kind of intangible, you know, what do you think that the vision I have, you know? It must be part of our education system. The formal education, that is in the school, and that is where we did a pretty bad job. We in Tobago here had the opportunity to include in our education system, to include in our responsible for education, the idea of managing the curriculum. And I think we fail a little bit with that. Or history, or economic studies and so on, should be around the activities that we have in Tobago to move forward. And I don't think the education system did function well enough for us in that respect. And that is one of the things that happened, not only the ring bang and other stuff, but the drive now to autonomy. I think we ought to engage more of a media for that. I'm not whipping anybody really.
Since we're talking about ring bang and selling the island, I don't know if many people know this. In the early 60s, when a Jamaican was leaving Jamaica to go anywhere in the world, Edward Seaga, who was the Prime Minister of Jamaica and was basically a businessman, used to make sure at the airport every departure or departee who was going anywhere must carry a tape of the reggae thing and selling Bob Marley. I don't know if we know it. Bob Marley's royalty, at least in 1 year that I read, was in excess of 10 million. That's after he's dead and gone. In excess of $10 million, because reggae has taken over the whole world.
And
Why?
was that part of the inspiration for Mr. Charles for that Ring Bang initiative?
Well, it could have been. I don't know. I never talk about the details.
Yeah, but
to him.
Things did happen very fast there, and there was not much time.
But Edward Seaga did that sort of thing. And we now have to have something, capture our culture, our education, and sell it out there. And so people will focus on us. And if they're focusing on us, they'll have to come and see who these people are. We're not in war. We're trying to sell you a nice product. And that is what we have to do. Tobago is a beautiful place, you know. Beautiful woman too, you know. We love him.
No, the truth.
We both have been speechless this morning. But, you know, as we're getting ready to wrap things up, what is one thing that you both would like to leave with the people of Tobago as we get ready to say goodbye to Mr. Charles? And as you can see, his body is just arriving with the procession at the Shore Park complex there. They're just getting in there. So I'm going to start with Mr. Caruth and then Mr. Moore. So Mr. Caruth, you know, what is one thing you would like to leave with Tobago?
I would like to leave the fact that while we are studying to get degrees and to fill different positions in Tobago or anywhere in the world, work very hard to promote Tobago. Have a passion for what you're doing, especially if you are a teacher. And if you see a child is going the wrong way, bring him or her back. It might be a trying time to do that, but you must take that as part of your duty. There's a thing about teaching by infusion. In other words, you're teaching algebra, but yet you're talking about the history of Tobago.
Yes.
You're talking about the principal characters who were in Tobago and people look forward to. And even the jokey ones, like John Stewart. You know about John Stewart. All these jokey people, you bring them into play. Tobago had Sandy. What Sandy was again? Sandy.
The slave Sandy. The slave Sandy that swam to Trinidad.
The Sandy who fought against slavery.
Yes. He led one of the riots and then escaped.
That's right. So you need to bring that in, but you're not stirring up revolution. You're stirring up an evolution. In other words, embrace what you have and sell it as a good product. Thank you.
And Mr. Moore.
Yeah, you see, we are finite. We could only operate within a certain time. We have finite resources. We could only spend or have so much at our disposal to do what we have to do. So it's important that we manage time and we manage the resource. And so my hope is that people step in now and fill the void left, because Charles has gone. He has gone physically forever, but mentally, his memory will be there. And there'll be something there to still enthuse the zeal to go forward. And so I'm hoping that some of us will come, the younger ones, to fill the void left by Charles and continue the work for Tobago and improve the resources we have in Tobago, so that our drive, say, mainly now for autonomy, could continue to its conclusion. And we are hoping that somehow there's a change of mind in the central government, to view what we're doing in Tobago here as part of national development as well, so that they'll be willing to assist as we go on and not treat us so that there'll be enmity between us. We must have cooperation to go on to develop Tobago and to develop the country.
Mr. Moore, Mr. Karut, I want to thank you both for being on with us this morning and for sharing those wonderful memories of Mr. Charles. Certainly invaluable, and we certainly treasure it. So thank you again. And well, viewers, that's how we're going to wrap the morning program, well, for GMT this morning. It was certainly a pleasure being here with you, but of course, as the funeral progresses, the body just arrived at the Shore Cultural Complex. Tobago Updates will continue to bring you live coverage all day of the funeral and the homegoing service for our first Chief Secretary, Mr. Hotoy Charles. So bye for now.